This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. As part of Circle City Broadcasting's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, each week our show provides tools that entrepreneurs and leadership-minded people can use to start and run a successful small business. We highlight local business owners and experts who share their collective experiences to advise and inspire you to gain the knowledge you need to see your business dreams become reality. The show's 7 segments are designed to cover the important topics that a small business owner inevitably may face. The topics are part of our show every week here on WISH-TV and streaming at WISH-TV.com. You can access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BE&Oshow.com. And our site keeps growing, so be sure to sign up for our newsletter, which is updated every Tuesday, and check out the new BE&O podcast. Listen and subscribe so you won't miss a minute of content. And if there's something you'd like us to cover or you'd like to be part of the show, reach out to us. Our email is beo@wishtv.com. Let's get down to business. Coming up on today's Business, Equity, and Opportunities. In Access to Capital, we look at another example of the commitment LISC makes to improving livability, opportunity, vitality, and education to affect local neighborhoods positively. Our industry focus today takes a humanities-focused high school. See a global perspective to learning and how it's changing the way students see the world. And in today's success story, we look at the family history of Crew Car Wash and its 75 years of giving back to the community. We start with our first topic, getting started. Each week, this segment covers some of the things you need to think about as you plan your new business. Branding your company, you've probably heard, takes research, and it's an investment in your future. Protecting that brand, then, may be one of the most important things you can do.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Ashley Scott Martin, CEO of Cerulean Consulting Group, has tips on protecting your company brand.
Well, when we talk about branding, it's important to establish a strong brand, but it's just as important to maintain that brand over time. Yes, absolutely, protect your brand legally, but then also on a day-to-day basis, do not be afraid to correct someone if they are misusing your logo or identity. As you enter into partnerships, be clear on how you show up in relationship to the partner, and also be understanding of how your brand translates from platform to platform, because it is different. Your identity should be recognizable, but tweaked depending on the environment that you're in, right? So, for example, if you walk into a room of business professionals, you're going to present your brand in one way, but if you are a children's product and you are walking into a room of kids, you're going to talk about it completely different. And there is still a way for you to cohesively, connect those two and tell the story of your overall brand. When you're building a business, particularly if you have FaceTime with customers offline, it is extremely important to create consistency, first and foremost, internally. So within corporate communications, we utilize communications plans or marketing plans to help create structure so that everyone who is representing your company is on the same page. We want them to be crystal clear on the full name of your company and what to wear when they're in the storefront, or understanding the greeting that you wish to use upon customer arrival or exit. You want them to be clear on the names of the products so that they're not abbreviating things, or making sure that when they present the product, it is in the way that you envision. And as a business owner, you want to control every little thing, but you can't be there all the time. So it's very important that when you create your documentation, when you create your training and onboarding processes, that you have it written and clear so that the new staff member, the new representative is able to embody the vision that you have. There's always room for excitement, right? Especially in the digital age. It's all about video, it's all about storytelling, it's all about catching someone's attention in a very short period of time and keeping it for just a few short seconds. So if you're interested in taking risks, I say yes, take calculated risks. Make sure that you're working with a professional, someone that can help guide you through the process so that you don't end up needing some crisis counseling on the back end of that. But we are in a time now, we're in a space now where those comedians and those like pranks and different, just kind of goofy, fun examples of like your company, they do resonate. And utilizing TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels, different platforms have space for that. And there's room for you. So don't feel like you have to fit a cookie cutter description of what business is. It can be whoever you want it to be, and depending on the setting. So one of the first things I recommend businesses do as they're establishing their brand is to get crystal clear on who they're targeting. It's not your family and friends, it's not, the neighbor down the street that keeps purchasing from you. You want to understand your target audience that is online, that's in another state, and those that haven't even purchased from you yet. We do that through market research, and it's an opportunity for you to tweak your messaging, to tweak your brand identity so that it resonates with them and not who you have been selling to up until this point. We love them, we want them to keep buying, but we also want to grow. And in order to do that, you'll have to become clear on the additional members of your audience.
If you'd like more information about this segment, visit our website, BEOshow.com. When we come back, how an effort to improve livability, opportunity, vitality, and education is improving local neighborhoods. Later, we visit the headquarters for Crew Car Wash to find out how the family business has turned the straightforward task of washing a car into a thriving business for 75 years. If you have any questions or segment ideas for us, send them our way. Email us at BEOshow@WISH-TV.com. We'd love to hear from you. This is Business Equity and Opportunity, and we'll be right back.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. This week in our Access to Capital segment, we look at another example of how the yearly Love Thy Neighborhood Awards improve our communities, one prize at a time.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to Capital.
Each year, the annual Love Thy Neighborhood Awards grant cash prizes to organizations and businesses that are improving the livability, opportunity, vitality, and education in Indianapolis communities.
Well, professionally, SIND works side by side and has since the beginning, as far as LISC being one of the few foundations in the city that are really focused on community-based or community development corporations, and we very much value that relationship and partnership. Personally, I've been involved with them for 15 years as a volunteer and as a consultant, so it's a great relationship, it's a great partnership. They are the lead, have set a standard and a precedent for neighborhood-based planning, which is amazing, and a very big difference between if a developer comes in and identifies an area and sees a vision. The neighborhood-based planning is where the neighbors actually get together, they cross neighborhood boundaries from different backgrounds, and they talk about what is important to their quality of life, and they work together to find the solutions. And LISC being at the forefront and funding and being a good funder and a partner makes all the difference in the world. It wouldn't happen without them.
Well, it's always important to be recognized for the work that you're trying to do to impact neighborhood and community. And from the very beginning, Cleo's really has been that. I mean, it was a love offering back to the neighborhood and the community that had been forced to do without for so long. For us to be able to bring back an affordable and a sustained, healthy food access point for people in the community was really a passion project of mine from when I came on board here in 2016. And so to then be recognized for it, it's one of those affirmations that you don't really look for, but you're very happy when it comes your way. One of the things that we really push for, and that our real theory of action is around trying to create a model where the most affordable thing that a person can do is buy the healthiest food available here. But what we recognize is that even sometimes as affordable as it is, it's still out of reach for some folks in the neighborhood and the community. So we started a program. Some people call it a pay it forward program. We refer to it as our suspended service program. So If you're shopping at Cleo's and you happen to notice how affordable it is by comparison to some other stores or cafes that you've been in, you can leave behind a donation to be able to support somebody in the neighborhood who can't afford to shop here or to eat here. And so we were able to leverage those dollars that we received from the Love Thy Neighbor Awards to be able to have that fund there so that anyone in the neighborhood who needs to shop or is hungry gets met at the front door in the fullness of their humanity, and they get to sit down and eat and enjoy a meal, listen to music, or shop for themselves or their family, just like everyone else. We will, in September, open our own neighborhood and community-based mental health center called Morning Star. And then in late September, we will begin construction on 2 commercial greenhouses. So our farm annually produces about 40,000 pounds of produce. When our greenhouses are fully operational, we'll actually produce that much every quarter. So it'll get us another step closer to being able to have that sustained, affordable, healthy food outlet for folks.
This award meant a lot to our organization. This is history making for us to be here in the She Experience shops here at Circle Center Mall, and to win that award, that gave us some of the capital that we needed to move into the store, you know, get things arranged so that we could open for our grand opening. So it was absolutely part of history making for us. You know, because we are the first Black department store here in Circle Center Mall. This mall has never had this many Black-owned businesses in this mall at one time. So being here is monumental for us. You know, this is history making for us. This has never been done before. We hope that our grandkids will read about us one day, you know, in the history books.
So there is limited opportunity for grassroots organizations to get the kind of recognition that Love Thy Neighbor brings attention to. Not only is it great to go through the process and perhaps receive some cash, awards, if you will, from the program, but it also raises an awareness to other agencies and to other funders. So recognition through Love Thy Neighborhoods not only is recognition by list, but could open up the doors for other conversations for those grassroots organizations.
If you'd like more information about this year's LISC Awards, you can see the Love Thy Neighborhood Awards Special. It's the 11th of September, 7 o'clock here on WISH-TV. Visit our website, BEOshow.com. You can find out how your organization can enter for next year's awards. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter for more resources. Up next, in This Week in Business, successful business owners know the importance of staying on top of the latest local news, and that includes keeping an eye on the larger financial world, stock markets and such. We look at the latest trends that may affect you. And later, we pay a visit to Crew Car Wash headquarters to uncover some of the company's secrets to success.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Whether the American economy comes out of the pandemic cleanly or badly battered or somewhere in between, small business owners would do well to watch the economic news through our This Week in Business segment, or daily at the NASDAQ. Jane King joins us on Daybreak. She is kind enough to join us today with an overview of what to watch as you look at the business world. Jane, let's jump in with the recession. So much to question. What declares it? What defines it? Will we be in one? Are we on one right now? What's the word on Wall Street?
Well, Scott, you know, as long as I've been doing business reporting, which has been a couple of decades now, a recession has been defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, as measured by the gross domestic product, or the GDP. And we've got that. But we also have very low unemployment, which is kind of weird. You typically don't see that in a recession. So it almost seems like some parts of the economy are in a recession. Housing prices are still up, but sales are way down, way down. We saw interest rates go up. That's driven housing down. So housing is said to be in a recession. We have no doubt seen some layoffs, particularly in the tech sector. Ford just this week announced 3,000 layoffs. So the job market is starting to look a little bit shaky. And there was a survey done recently that 97% of corporate executives and small business owners and private investors felt like we were either in a recession or headed for one, 97%. So there's definitely some people on the front lines feel things are slowing down, and just, how much of a recession will be short, shallow, will it be longer or slow down? It's just difficult to tell, but there are some signs out there that things are starting to look a little precarious for the economy.
Well, and one thing that occurs to me that you know very well, the tools used then to try to either head it off or even dip us toward one to get the employment situation a little freer is what the Fed does. That directly affects these small business owners we're speaking to right now, how expensive their money may be in the months and years ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, because to slow down inflation, to kind of put a lid on it, you have to raise interest rates. That keeps people from spending as much money. It kind of slows everything down a little bit so inflation doesn't get out of control. But there are downsides to that as well. We've seen it in housing. We've seen it in loan rates for small businesses, credit card rates. Average interest rate is at or near a record high. So those typical ways of financing things have certainly gone up in price. It's having an impact. Now, the question, and what I think we need to watch over the next 6 months, is will the Fed be so aggressive in fighting inflation that they may slow down the economy too much? And that's another danger. It's a very fine needle that they have to thread, so to speak.
Alongside that, we're also watching an election season evolve. We're coming out of the primaries as we speak, headed headlong into November and a general election. What are the business issues we should be watching in campaigns?
Well, I do think the inflation thing is going to continue to be big. Gas prices have fallen by a lot. I mean, they've been down 70 days in a row, so that's certainly been a relief. But food prices are still elevated, and rents just hit another record high. So there are still some things that are inflationary that are out there. So that's going to be a key thing. We're going to be watching Congress. They just passed kind of that slimmed down version, the climate bill. They called it the Inflation Reduction Act. That's open to some debate, but there was a lot of money to be spent in there. What's that going to mean? So all those things are going to be key. And if we would slip into a recession, like an official one where things start to get a lot worse, that could be detrimental for the party in power. We've typically seen that in the past. So these are all things to watch as we head into the election season.
We also talk about the pandemic, and some people will talk about it as though it's done. It's clearly not done. Even in the technical sense, we're still, strictly speaking, in a pandemic. Right. But it seems that businesses are starting to come out of the most severe changes they've made, sometimes permanently altering what they're doing, but in many cases sort of like a return to what we saw before all of this started. Where are we with businesses getting back to the business?
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. I think back to 2000, like I'll see something from 2018 and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so before all of this, and our world just changed. It's amazing. Well, I think one of the big things is remote work, and everybody's still trying to figure that out. People don't want to go back into the office, not 5 days a week. And I was talking to somebody this weekend that had like an hour commute one way every day, and she was just so happy she didn't have to do that so much anymore. But companies like the people there. They like that kind of subtle, mentoring and these spontaneous ideas that come about when you're with somebody else in person, and that energy that you have in meetings. I've also talked to other CEOs who say they're shocked how productive and how much they've been able to get done through remote work. So I imagine we're going to be in some kind of hybrid work environment for the time to come, for several years, because it seems to be working in certain cases. There was a study done by the Federal Reserve that service workers, so these are kind of the laptop people, are able to go into work about 3 days a week on average. And it does look like that will stick. Now that brings up all kinds of questions about what does that mean for small businesses in areas that don't have the typical office workers that they've seen in the past. What about commercial real estate? That could be a real problem if this starts to become more permanent.
Well, and when you say that, it occurs to me as well, some of the small businesses we're speaking with may be looking to start up in areas that, for instance, don't yet have great high-speed internet infrastructure, and so that'll have to weigh into the decision-making as well. So many moving parts. Would you say maybe it's a good idea to identify a sector, an industry that does the work that you're interested in, and kind of see what's working in those and maybe what's not working so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always a good idea, you know, to learn as much about whatever industry you're in and kind of figure out, but I don't want to diminish the in-person stuff. I still think that's really important. Maybe it doesn't have to be 5 days a week, but I think, you know, 1 day a week is good. I know there's some people on Wall Street that work Monday through Thursday at the office, and then Friday is at home. And they'll do some meetings on Zoom and things like that. That seems like they're happy doing that and they're still able to be really productive. But this feels like it's kind of this ever-changing, evolving thing that we're all still trying to figure out. And I would just be as flexible as possible.
Indeed. Jane King, as always, we appreciate the perspective both here on our broadcast that airs each week with the Business Equity and Opportunities from time to time, and then every weekday on Daybreak on WISH-TV. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to catch Jane every morning for her stock market report on Daybreak. We'll have a link to all those segments on our website, BEOshow.com. When we come back, every business must handle accounting and bookkeeping. You must know your numbers to succeed. We'll get an expert opinion on exactly why that's so necessary. Then later, we meet the founder of Thrival Indy Academy to find out how she's providing no-cost global opportunities to students. If you want more business equity and opportunities, check out our new podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. You can find out how to subscribe through the link on our website, again, BEOshow.com. We'll be right back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. One very important and sometimes overlooked part of starting a new business is accounting and bookkeeping.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Accounting and bookkeeping.
Proper accounting and bookkeeping are very important parts of any new business. Matthew Murphy III, founder of Embossed Partners, talks about the importance of keeping your finances on track and common mistakes to avoid.
In my experience, I think business owners tend to be passionate about their businesses. Generally, they have a very strong understanding of the industry dynamics of their business. So they tend to focus on the marketing and branding of their businesses by this networking we've been talking about and you know, boasting on the capabilities of the business to deliver and to solve problems and to you know, make customers happy. So the marketing side of it, I think, gets a lot of attention. I think most businesses don't understand how important it is for the financial side of the house to be even more prominent in terms of the ongoing operational balance that a business needs. Cash flow is king, so things like accounts receivable, you know, you sold the product or service to the customer, but did you get paid? And if you got paid, did you get paid in 90 days or did you get paid in 20 days? It matters. And did you get paid in 90 days because you failed to invoice on time? Because the customer's not going to pay you until you invoice them and say that they owe you. So those are some of the nuances on the financial side of the house that really, I say, is really a discipline. It's every day. Marketing, not so much every day, although, you know, happy customers are doing some marketing for you kind of behind the scenes. But I think the financial side of the house is where a lot of customers, a lot of business owners in the early stages of their companies kind of have not as much of a focus as needed. And, you know, the other thing that you mentioned, having great external partners, a CPA firm that is doing your taxes, business taxes on time, every time, and is giving you some advice and guidance on some of the financial elements of your business. And then the owner also needing to focus on their personal credit as well. FICO scores do matter, and that's part of the character test, actually, in some bankers' minds. So I think it's really the financial side that gets underweighted in the early stages, and usually the reason that is because a lot of new businesses can't afford that polished CFO on salary, but there's all kinds of ways to get there, all kinds of ways to skin that cat. There's CFO organizations that are external, so outsourcing that function is one way to skin that cat as well. So that would be my thought in terms of where some focus has to be. And business owners, while they may not ever become experts in finance, they need to understand some of the moving parts on the financial side of the house for their businesses, because that's where the accountability lies. If you go to a bank and a bank makes you a loan and they want a payment of principal plus interest at the end of the month for the next 60 months, you can't afford to be late, because that's impacting negatively your credit from a corporate standpoint. So,
in the early stages of a business plan, how important is it to include a financial advisor? Matthew continues with his answer.
I think it's very, very important. In fact, as a former banker, when I had prospective clients talk to me about their goals and objectives for getting their businesses financed, those are some of the first questions that I want to know. Who makes up your internal team? Do you have a good CFO or a bookkeeper or finance manager? Who's your CPA firm that you're working with? Because what is needed today is at least needed for the entire journey. In fact, it may be necessary to kind of up your game and get better talent in those disciplines. So, I'm seeking answers to those questions very, very early on. In fact, maybe even before I read the business plan.
And again, if you want to know anything more about today's segments or any previous shows, visit our website, beoshow.com. You'll find resources to help you create and run your own successful small business. Be sure to sign up for our BE&O newsletter to find out more about the business resources available to you. When we come back, Scott Jones walks us through cybersecurity threats and whether there's anything you can do about them. Business equity and opportunities. We'll be right back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. If you're starting a new business, you may be concerned about cybersecurity. It is clear there have been threats to small and large businesses. To help you sort out the dangers, we turn to an expert in the field of cybersecurity and running your business day to day.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
Scott Jones is the founder and president of the 1150 Academy, a nonprofit that focuses on software development, learning, specializes in cybersecurity. In fact, the cybersecurity program includes training in both attack and defense on a military-grade training range.
Every business is in the business of tech, even agriculture, logistics, healthcare, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. Tech is a component of everything. What company does not have a website? Small or large, you don't exist if you don't have a website. What company doesn't have to worry about cybersecurity? Every company has to worry about cybersecurity today. It's a big deal. And there are other areas that the Academy is expanding upon. There's things like DevOps, there's cloud computing. All companies in all these different dimensions have a tech component. Now that doesn't mean everybody there is doing tech, but if you know the language of tech, you're likely to be doing your job a whole lot better, and you're likely to earn a lot more income if you know tech. And so when we teach, we don't expect everybody to walk out of here and spend the rest of their lives coding. But if they know what coding is and understand the implications of what you can do and what you can build with coding and with cybersecurity and IT, it gives you many more dimensions of what you can do in your career. And if you're building a company, which is what I've spent my career doing, is building companies, it allows you to see things that others don't see. Yeah, cybersecurity is upon us, right? And we've been seeing it in the headlines. You know, we wake up to headlines almost every day. Social security numbers, passwords, you know, and worse, there's even, you know, water companies, electric companies being hit by this. Companies that are being held hostage, whole entire cities that are being held hostage with ransomware using Bitcoin or whatever. So those are the kinds of headlines we're seeing. It is estimated that practically every business will be hit somehow with a cybersecurity attack at some meaningful level. And it doesn't take much. It only takes, you know, one chink in the armor for somebody to take a phishing email and click on the link and you're toast. Unless you've done your cybersecurity right, your defensive operations. So there's defense and there's offense. We have a multi-million-dollar cyber range here that lets our people go onto red team, blue team, and actually understand the details of both sides of the action. And by the way, that action is you know, it's illegal. You can't do the things we do in our walled garden, or the SWAT team comes and knocks your door down, right? So this is like serious education about all the things that are happening behind those headlines. Like, how did it happen? How would you stop it from happening? Once it has happened, how do you fix it? That's what we teach. And the Academy, the invention of my invention of the Academy is world changing. And that's what I'm really focused on 100% right now. Now, there are some things coming down the road that have to do with nanotechnology. There's some aviation things. I used to have the Coca-Cola aerobatics team. I'm a helicopter pilot and a fixed wing pilot. So I've always had an interest in flight and nanotechnology from MIT and artificial intelligence. And also stem cell technology, which I have a company in that domain as well. So those are the places where my mind is playing, right? And at some point there'll be the right opportunities to go explore more.
Up next, our industry focus this week looks at a local charter high school that's seeking success by thinking globally. That's coming up on Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sanders. Thanks for watching this encore presentation of Business Equity and Opportunities. We hope you've learned some tips that'll help you start or grow your own business. If you'd like to catch up on past episodes or segments, watch us here every weekday or visit us at BE&OShow.com. And don't forget, new episodes of Business Equity and Opportunities air every Sunday morning on WISH-TV, or you can stream it live at WISH-TV.com. Fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Watch Business Equity and Opportunities from WISH-TV.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Today, our industry focus looks at a very different way to view public schooling. We had the opportunity to visit a local high school that has a curriculum designed to create a new generation of leaders at the local and global level. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus. In this week's Industry Focus, we meet India Johnson, a local school administrator who aims to rewrite the book on education for her students and have a global impact on their lives.
This school is about being purpose-driven as leaders, as teachers, as educators, and as students, even as parents. There's a purpose to all of this. And I like to keep that at the forefront. And you saw some of the religion class, and that's something we added this year, exploring different religions. We really want our students, we don't want to tell them what to think. We want them to know how to think and how to think critically and how to think critically about who they are and their role in the world. So being purpose-driven is at the foundation of what we do, making sure that every staff member understands why they are here and that there is a greater good to all the work that we're doing. We are a wellness-focused school, so we have one full day every week, Wellness Wednesday, where our students and staff focus on self, do mindfulness work, yoga, have different enrichment programs going. So we bring in community members to do programming, and then our teachers can do things that they like. So whether it's sports science or movie reviews, just enriching our students' lives to give them something that they care about, to make sense of what they're learning Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in the other classes. And then making the world our classroom is the third part of that. So we were in Thailand for the first 2 years of the school. Now we're taking our students, well, we did camping too, but camping is a huge part of what we do, as well as we'll go on a Southern United States tour and HBCU tour and expose our students to different culture in their own country. A lot of our students don't even have exposure to different culture in their own city. And then our 11th graders will go to Puerto Rico and do some Spanish immersion, do some on-the-ground learning there, some rounds of projects. That's the school. So it's a public school. We do not select students, and it's all about students selecting us. And we're starting to communicate who we are in a way where the students who are aligned with what we believe and the families who are aligned with how we operate now, they're starting to see us and they're coming. We're high school. Since we're doing a slow grow, we started with 9th grade only, and we're following that cohort to their senior year. So when they graduate in 2024, that's when we'll have a full 9th through 12th grade school. But our students come from all over the city. We have students who come from Mount Vernon. We have students who come from Pike. We have students who come from Lawrence, Warren. We have them from Wayne Township, and of course Center Township is where our students come from as well. So the students who arrive on a bus, they come from IPS area, Center Township. Anywhere outside of that, they have to be provided transportation, but they come from all over the city. 75 students per grade level is what our ceiling is, and we've actually never met capacity. We have high expectations here, and that's for everybody across the board. We have very high expectations, but we do it with love. But not everybody's comfortable with that level of self-accountability. You see the affirmations around, we're all about that positivity. We're also all about honesty and reflection and accountability and advocacy. Not everybody's ready for that though. So at this point, we're just learning how to build it and let them come. So we're doing it that way. When it comes to that, local autonomy is what that would be. The localized autonomy, there is a big move for localized autonomy of schools, and then there's also a move against it, which a lot of the movement against that localized autonomy comes from the unions. And I'm not here to pick fights with anyone. I am simply here to advocate for what's best for these young humans. If we see how schools, the history of how schools have operated up until this point, we've got to do something different. And having such large school corporations, and those large school corporations are making decisions for 30 to 100,000 students, there's no way that you can make decisions based on what's best for your building or even what's best for the individuals within that building. In my perfect world, you would have central services. So a school district would offer central services. This is my perfect world. This is what's happening with my relationship with IPS. I'm under their legal education agency, their LEA. So when it comes to special education, when it comes to English as a new language, when it comes to those federally protected programs, I have an institution with deep knowledge, with a depth and breadth of knowledge that I do not have, and resources, people, access, all of that. I appreciate having that. then they stay out of our business. And when it comes to the day-to-day operations, how much, who I pay, how much, there are people who have an issue with that. They think pay should be standardized, and we're in a capitalistic society, believe people should be paid what they earn. And really, despite anything, just be paid what you earn. And everyone around here, all of my employees, appreciate it and respect it. What does the school day look like? What are the positions of the day? What are they learning? All of those, I have full autonomy over that. That's the way it should be. The issue is that there's not trust in the school leaders to give that level of autonomy. Also, I don't think the school leaders have been trained to have that level of autonomy. There's a lot of work, inner work, there's a lot of academic work, there's a lot of just work in general that needs to be done in order to know that you're making the best decisions for your employees, for your students, and their families and the community overall. It's a lot of pressure. I want to bring back valuing education and going through the certifications. Right now, we're so desperate as an industry. If you have a heart for children and you have a mind that can learn, we'll take you. And that's where I am. I would say maybe 50% of my staff is highly qualified. The other 50% is being trained, coached, and supported by me into being highly effective. We as school leaders, as educators, we have to focus on growing our own. That's our only way to do this. You find people who have a heart and who are committed to growing and learning and want to see these young people be the best humans they can be. That's all I care about.
And we'll have more information on the Thrival Indy Academy on our website, beoshow.com. Coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunities, today's success story looks at the family-owned car wash business that has grown to one of the largest in the nation. But it's also determined to hold on to its hometown values. Find out Crew's secret to success when we return.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. Last week we visited with Sally Grant, who took us inside the ever-growing car wash industry. Today she shares some family secrets about how an Indiana family's built its business into one of the largest car wash companies in the country.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Each week, one of our contributors shares the path that led them to the success they have today. This week, we visit with Sally Grant, Executive Vice President of Crew Car Wash and granddaughter of the founder, Joe Dom. She shares her family's success story.
I'm very lucky to have great mentors in my life, starting with my grandfather, Joe Dom, 95 years young, he would say, and he started the car wash in Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1948. And I obviously grew up around it. My dad joined the business when he was out of college. He moved our family from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis when I was in first grade. So we opened up the first car wash on Allisonville Road in Indianapolis back in 1985. And from there, my dad really grew the business. My grandfather set a really strong foundation of all of our guiding principles, our values. But my dad was able to grow it, and Indianapolis in the 80s, 90s, I mean, just thriving market. So lots of success there. And I'm third generation, and it's kind of, you know, my responsibility to be a steward of the family business and make sure that this can continue to be generational. We think it's very special that we're in this family business and the opportunities that it's provided us, but more importantly, our great team members. At Crew, we want to stay true to, you know, what has made us successful. And that's not being the biggest, it's being known for the best customer experience and the best team member experience. Focus on your team. It starts with your team members because they are the ones serving your customers, and Like my grandpa always said, if your team is happy, they're going to do an outstanding job and wow your customers. So we really focus on that at Crew every day. What can we do for our team to keep them engaged, to help them reach their full potential? I give my grandfather a lot of credit, my dad as well, for setting that precedent early on, that how important it is to give back to the communities we serve in, because that's where our customers are. We know that our customers are involved with a lot of nonprofits. Their kids are going to our local schools, so we want to make sure we do our part and help those organizations through special events we may have on site at our location. Fundraising program where we give 50% of all proceeds back to these organizations. It's just a core of why we do what we do. It's an interesting dynamic because you definitely have the business side of things, which is really important, but there's also those family, emotions and communication that go on behind the scenes, and I think I'm fortunate to be in a family where we can speak our mind, we can disagree, but at the end of the day, we're family, we respect each other. We can leave the office or leave the car wash and go to the kids' little league game together with my dad, and we can try to keep business at work and then also separate that into kind of our family lives. But good communication is key. The future for us, at least, looks like we want to continue growing because we feel like that is a way to continually attract great people to our team, give them career advancement opportunities, advancements to be managers, advancement to be area directors, join our support team. So we want to be part of a growing company, but we want to do it in a conservative, profitable way where we're not outgrowing our culture. So we're continuing to look for great real estate here in Indiana and outside of Indiana, and focus on all of the key training elements that we have in place for our team members, and continually thinking of ways we can help our customers solve some of those everyday little problems like, hey, I've got to run an errand, I've got to get my car cleaned. So we really want to keep our customers at core focus and our team.
As always, our special thanks to the contributors who joined us for this episode of Business Equity and Opportunities. You can find out more information about today's show on our website, BE&OShow.com. You can also view all 7 segments, any order you want, from this show and all of our past shows. The segments are designed to help you, whether you're currently operating a small business in our community or developing your own startup. Join us every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock here on WISH-TV. We're always seeking out new insights into the world of small business with equity, diversity, and opportunities in mind. You can also stream the show live on WISH-TV.com to see it and use all of our content anytime. Go to BE&OShow.com. Catch even more insights on the BE&O podcast, updated weekly and found on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. If you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is BEO@WISH-TV.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for watching.